Another Dead Teenager, a Paul Turner Mystery, Book 3. Author, Mark Richard Zubro. Stonewall Inn Mysteries. Narrator, Eric Aust. At Area 10, they found the bedlam of reporters nearly non-existent. "What happened to all the media?" Fenwick asked the uniform working the front desk. "Made a deal with the commander. Regular morning and afternoon press conferences. Police personnel not to be harassed." "Miracle," Fenwick said. On the 4th floor, Blessing brought them over to the map and showed them the latest printout. "We've been making calls all day, following up the theory that it's a serial killer around the country murdering sports kids who've had articles about them in the paper. We have a total of 18 such deaths in the past 5 years. We called local papers on our police departments in every city in the country, with a population over 100,000, which meant over 300 calls. We figured, or we hoped, they'd have anything in their own cities or a small town nearby." "What about crushed testicles?" "Most didn't know, but said they'd try to find out." "How's the pattern for places and dates?" Turner asked. They strode over to the map. "See the yellow pins?" The detective nodded. "All around the country," Blessing said, "and no longer in chronological or geographical order." "Shit," Fenwick said. "There's got to be a pattern," Turner said. Blessing said nothing. "What about underwear?" Most didn't know, but said they were sure somebody would have remembered something like that. A few were honest and said nobody checked. Some of these were awful accidents, where not just one kid got killed. Whatever they told me didn't add up to a pattern up here. "I'm tired," Fenwick announced. "Any news from Millwood?" Turner asked. "Nothing so far. They're doing the same as you, talking to their friends, their relatives, schoolmates, neighbors, possible drug connections. They've got some guy coming up here later with all they get. We'll put it all in the computers. They've called almost every hour with updates." Turner and Fenwick examined the printout carefully. "You see any pattern?" Fenwick asked. "Nothing," Turner said. "The only pattern that exists so far are the crushed testicle cases." Fenwick said, "Let's get the cities on these 18 and match them with where everybody we've talked to lived in the past 20 years. "That's incomplete," Blessing said. "I ran each through the computer for criminal records. The current driver's license information just gave us this state for addresses. We'd have to call all 50 states to check past on all of these. I'm getting Social Security records. So far, the answer is none of these people lived in any of those cities at that time or in cities that were close to the killings. Except Waverly, from Seattle to Spokane, when he was in college," Turner said. "So, the killer visited," Fenwick said. "If our theory is correct, somebody did. Problem is, what if the killer isn't one of the people we've talked to so far?" "The killer has to know something of the pattern of these kids' lives." "Maybe it's random chance. That's why there's no pattern. The killer passes through town, looks in back issues of local newspapers for his victims. If in the time he's around he sees his opportunity, they die. Assuming one of the people we've talked to is the killer, how could we track all these people for all those years? Even if we checked all the airlines for these people, they could have driven, gone by train. They could have lived halfway between two of the cities. Did somebody track them? No. They could also have lived under a false name. That's doable, but tough in our day of paper trails. Can we get credit card records?" "We can try." "So what the hell do we have?" Fenwick asked. Blessing looked at the latest computer printout. "This is all in the last 10 years. We didn't put this morning's in yet. We have crushed testicles in 5 cities, counting Goldstein here. They are on random dates of the year, spaced irregularly through that time." He attached the printout to the corkboard. Turner read out loud. "April 5th, 1985, in Spokane, Washington. Supposed suicide, possible murder. October 23rd, 1986, in Fresno, California. Gang killing. July 19th, 1991, in Odessa, Texas. Car accident. January 31st, 1993, in St. Louis, Missouri. Suicide. We have missing underwear here and in 2 other cities," Blessing said. August 10th, 1986, in Rapid City, South Dakota, and September 17th, 1990, in Abilene, Texas. Blessing pointed. We have articles written about them and dead kids in 17 places without Goldstein and Douglas. April 5th, 1985, in Spokane, Washington, supposed suicide. Possible murder. May 26, 1985, in Portland, Oregon, gang violence. June 17th, 1985, in St. Paul, Minnesota. 3 kids in the same car accident. All had been featured in the same article, so we counted all 3. August 10, 1986, Rapid City, South Dakota. Suicide. October 23rd, 1986, in Fresno, California. Gang killing. November 1st, 1986, in Padre Island, Texas. 2 kids in a swimming accident. February 1st, 1987, Denver, Colorado, skiing accident. May 20th, 1987, Cheyenne, Wyoming, suicide. March 21st, 1988, Tucson, Arizona, car accident. September 17th, 1990, in Abilene, Texas, 4 kids in a car. 1 had an article, so we only counted 1. July 19th, 1991, in Odessa, Texas, car accident. January 26th, 1992, in Birmingham, Alabama, car accident. February 5th, 1992, in Boulder, Colorado, shot by best friend. July 4th, 1992, in Duluth, Minnesota, boating accident. July 5th, 1992, in New Orleans, Louisiana, suicide. January 31st, 1993, in St. Louis, Missouri, suicide. We've called all of these, Turner asked. Spoke to cops and medical examiners in each city. Most were sympathetic. They worked at trying to separate the data, using different combinations and rearranging the information. When they finished, Turner looked at the results. This tells me nothing, he said. Fenwick handed him a list. These are the accidents. 3 of the 8 are in Texas. I don't think that helps. If it is a very smart serial killer, he or she could have done some or all of these. Made them look like suicides or accidents or murders or any goddamn thing. Where's what you've got on where everybody we've talked to lived? There, Blessing said. One of them lived in Texas from September 1980 to June 1985, during which time none of the killings happened in Texas. Waverly wasn't playing in any of these cities on the days of the killing. The list doesn't point to him as the killer. None of the others has lived in these cities during any of these times. What earthly good is this? Fenwick asked. Maybe I was wrong, Turner said. His shoulders slumped. I thought we had something. One curious thing, Blessing said. We couldn't get any background on your Jose Martin or his dad. They have no history before 4 years ago. They appear in our records, but not before that. No Social Security on Mr. Martin? Turner asked. Not before 4 years ago, Blessing said. There's got to be Social Security records, Turner said. Not if they changed their identities. Not if they worked very hard at establishing a new life. What are they running from? Want me to hunt some more? Yes. Do what you can, but I'll ask myself, Turner said. Call the cops who are outside their house and see if either of them left early this morning. Minutes later, the reply came back. Nothing unusual. Kid left for school under escort at the regular time. Father left for work 15 minutes later. Both were in the house. Nobody came or went before then. That is still too odd, Turner said. I'll be seeing the kid tonight at my place. If I have to, I'll drag him over to his dad's and get answers from both of them. Joyce, the assistant, walked over to Blessing and handed him a note. This ought to cheer you guys up, Blessing said. We just got a big anonymous tip. Says here, Daryl Logan, the representative from the university in the skybox, was with the boys after the game. Went with them to their car. We've had a confession. Why not a fake lead? Fenwick asked. I'm not putting a lot of hope into this, Turner said. Caller isn't still on the line? He asked Joyce. I tried to keep him talking, but he gave me the message and hung up. Did he sound old? Young? Nothing particular in the voice. No background noises that I remember. We recording the calls? Yeah. We're tapped into the emergency system, Blessing said. We've got everything. I'll get it for you. Does this justify our talking to the guy? Turner asked. Better get a state's attorney and the commander up here, Fenwick said. We got no physical evidence on this. We'd never get a search warrant based on an anonymous tip, Turner said. I'd like to have a microscopist go over his car, Fenwick said. Assuming the killer was bright enough to erase all fingerprints in the car that drove Goldstein to his place of death, then their next best bet was a microscopist. The microscopist could, as Sherlock Holmes suggested, find things out from the smallest detail. In this case, the microscopist could go over the seats in Darrell Logan's vehicle. He or she could compare the minutest threads found in the car with Jake Goldstein's pants and jacket. If Goldstein had been in the car, a microscopist should find traces. Lots of immediate pressure on this one, Blessing said. Should be able to shake something loose. But half an hour later, in the commander's office, Blessing's comment seemed essentially untrue. You have absolutely no physical evidence, the assistant state's attorney said. You have no justification for a warrant of any kind. I don't see probable cause in any anonymous phone call. How many calls have you gotten? Probably hundreds, maybe thousands. Not one has led to a real break in the case, has it? Turner, Fenwick, and the commander shook their heads. You might be justified in talking to him, but I would be very careful, Poindexter said. You know the pressure we've been under on this case. You're in a political office. You know we've got to have something. But if you have no justification for a search, or if you try something illegal and blow the case, it'll be worse. You know what the media will do if you announce you have a suspect, or if you're even questioning someone. I still don't know how you avoided anything with that Waverly guy from the team. We were careful. Well, you'll have to be careful again, Fenwick asked. Do we call him and ask him, please, sir, to come in so we can chat, or do we find out where he lives and bust down his door? The assistant state's attorney did not smile. Go talk to him at his house. Don't search for anything. Don't touch anything unless he's got a dead body hanging in the parlor. Don't do anything. And before they left, Blessing gave them a preliminary report on Logan's background. He lived all his life in the Chicago area. Fenwick grumbled about dead body in the parlor for over half the drive from Area 10 to the Golden Ridge subdivision south of New Lenox in unincorporated Will County. They're going to be useless, Fenwick said. We've got to try, Turner said. What's the deal on Jose Martin and his dad? Fenwick asked. I intend to find out, Turner said. I'll have that answer before I go to bed tonight. They took the Dan Ryan Expressway to Interstate 57, picked up Interstate 80 west, and exited at Maple Avenue in New Lenox. Using his Chicago and vicinity 6-county street finder, Turner found Darrell Logan's address. Some of the condos in the subdivision were half-finished. Piles of wood and bricks surrounded a few of the structures. Immense clots of mud left by construction vehicles littered the street. The light was on in Logan's condo. He answered their knock and looked quite surprised to see them. He led them into a sparsely furnished living room. He had only a black leather couch, an easy chair, and a compact unit stereo system in it as furniture. No pictures hung from the wall. No bodies hung from the ceiling. Logan turned down a symphony playing on the stereo. Turner said, We need to check a number of things with you, Mr. Logan. The man wore a St. Basil's University sweatshirt, faded blue jeans, white socks, and running shoes. He didn't need a belt for the jeans to hug his narrow hips. Turner thought, he's got enough of a build to carry around a struggling teenager if he had to. I'm surprised you're here, Logan said. Someone told us the boys went back to the skybox after going to the locker room. Who told you that? Logan asked. We received a call, Turner said. It said you had gone to the car with the boys after the game. An anonymous call. This is an insult. After the game. I escorted the university's guest to their rented limousine and then went to my car and drove home. You can check with the guests about who went where. I can give you the list. Please, Turner said. Logan stared at the cops for half a minute. Finally he said, "Oh, get it." He ascended stairs in the hallway and returned moments later. He handed Turner a list. There are their home addresses. I can get you the numbers in the morning, or I suppose directory assistants in their cities could get the numbers. You realize if you do that calling, people could begin to think I had some connection to this. I see no need for my reputation to be destroyed because you have been unable to come up with a suspect. If word of this gets out, my career at the university would be in jeopardy. And don't tell me that if I'm innocent, it can't hurt me. We've all seen what a media frenzy can do. If a whisper of this gets out, cameras will camp outside my door for days on end. Media people will attempt to talk to me, my family, and anyone who knows me. Turner said, I understand the media problem, Mr. Logan. We will do our best. You aren't a suspect. At the moment, we just have some questions. Turner and Fenwick asked their questions. Logan's answers got them no cause to arrest him or treat him as a suspect, and certainly gave them no excuse to go to a judge and ask for a warrant. They left after an hour. Fenwick slammed his car door. Into the fiasco column with another one. The entire ride back to Area 10 passed in depressed silence. Back on the third floor, Turner sat with his elbows on top of the desk and his head cupped in his hands. Fenwick plopped his bulk into his chair and swung his feet up onto his desk. He entwined his fingers and placed them behind his head. He stared at the ceiling. Is there much point sitting here like this? Fenwick asked. We're getting just as far doing this as we were running around the countryside. Did we eat lunch? I thought we had something. Commander Poindexter entered the room. They told him about their session with Logan. After their conversation with the commander, Turner said, I'm going home to check on this Jose Martin thing. I'll probably grab a bite to eat. I'm going to stay here for a while and go over reports and statistics. Maybe something will leap out at me from our list of killings, Fenwick said. I'll be back in a couple hours at most. I'm going to try and keep this day to one that ends at midnight. We're at a big dead end. I don't need to ruin my health for this. In the parking lot, Turner saw Ian drive up in his green Range Rover. Turner climbed into the seat next to his friend. You look like hell, Ian said. I feel like it. Want to go for a drink? No, I need to get home. We can talk here for a few minutes. What happened today? More nothing. The creepiest kid on the planet confessed to murder. Turner told him about his day. I'm sorry your ideal didn't lead to something more concrete. If it is a serial killer working around the country, that's going to be tough to solve, Ian said. Yeah, I'm more worried about my kid. I still got uniformed cops at the house. We won't be able to keep that long. My son and his buddy Jose are both there. Jose is the kid you were lusting after. Speaking of which, Turner told Ian about visiting the Martin home the night before. Turner finished. Plus, Blessing can only find identification for them from 4 years ago to now. Ian said, Tell me about the picture on the television again. It was just them smiling. No, the background. I don't know. Turner thought a minute. It was just a crowd scene at a parade. Right behind them was a booth with a guy selling magazines and tapes. I think. A big guy at the table with one of those huge handlebar mustaches. Leather vest. No shirt underneath? Yeah, maybe. That's Mrs. Sally by day, a chunky leather man. By night, an overweight drag queen. He has a booth at every gay pride parade in Chicago. He's not supposed to. The parade organizers and or the police always chase him away. Why is this important for me to know? The picture was taken at the gay pride parade. Lots of people go to the pride parade who aren't gay. I didn't say they were gay. Or they have the nerve to live openly together if they weren't father and son. Describe what you saw of Mr. Martin's tattoo, Ian commanded. I couldn't see it real well. Just tell me what you saw. Maybe the wing of a bird or a butterfly. The bottom half of a wheel. Why is that? The totem of a gay motorcycle group? Ian did not laugh. He said, Two butterflies, the tips of their wings barely touching, and then a motorcycle racing between them is the symbol for a very sweet group of men who ride motorcycles. They also happen to be gay. Maybe Mr. Martin is gay, and Jose is his straight son. It can happen, you know. I'd bet my baseball autograph by all of the 1969 Cubs that they are not father and son. I don't want to know that. Why not? Because of the state of Illinois, police, school teachers, nurses, what all, have to, by law, report any case of abuse they know about or suspect. This is abuse. They've been living together since at least Jose's freshman year. He is still underage. You would turn them in. The law says if a person who is aware of abuse doesn't report it and is caught not reporting it, he or she loses their job. You don't know their story. They may love each other. You can't simply turn them in. They were silent several moments. Brian's been Jose's best friend for more than 3 years. Ian gazed at his friend. Are you worried about Brian being gay? No. You know the statistics. The kids of gay parents are as likely to be gay as the kids of straight parents. Are you worried that Jose and Brian might have had sex? I don't know. If I want to talk about that, I don't want to know the details of what my kid might have been doing. Lots of straight kids fool around in their early teens. If they didn't, your life would have been a lot different. Brian protecting Jose and Mr. Martin's secret means he understands, cares for them, has an open mind, doesn't get frightened by people who are different. Brian's a good kid. I think you can trust him. I wouldn't trade him for half the teenagers on the planet. They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Turner said, I should get home. Ian squeezed his knee. If I can help, call me. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.